Hey, how's it going? So, today I guess we're going to talk about something that I wasn't excited necessarily to come up with this list, but I did a video, I don't know, it's been 8 or 9 months ago, and it was 5 things that I love about my Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk. So I've been thinking about it, and I feel like, you know what? I need to give the other side of that story. So, in this video, I'm going to go over the 5 things that I hate about my Jeep. All right, well, I guess we'll kick off this list. So, 5 things I hate. Let's see. I guess the best way to do this would be like the 5 things I love video. We'll start with number 5 and we'll work our way to number 1. All right, so 5 will be the thing I least hate, and number 1 will be the thing I most hate about my Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk. So I guess let's just jump right in. All right, so number 5 is going to be, so that's 10. Number 5 is going to be size. That's right, size. It's small. All right, so don't crucify me on this one. If you saw the other video, you'll know, or you may have seen, that size was one of the 5 things I loved about this vehicle. Sounds odd, but size. So yeah, I'm going with small. Small is one of my favorite things about it, and there's several reasons why. And there's a reason. There's a reason size can be a love and a hate thing. So I mean, you think about packing all your gear, going out on an overlanding trip, and trying to fit everything that you need inside of this. Obviously, I have a roof rack. It's not on there right now, but even with the roof rack and everything, it's tough to situate everything in there and be able to take everything that you might want for a long trip. All right, especially because I have a family of 5. I've got 3 kids.
Dad, what are you doing? You're peeing. He's peeing.
So if me, my wife, and 3 kids all want to go out on the trail, all want to go on a 2-3 day camping trip, it gets pretty tight in there. So that's why size is on this. So if you've been following along and you've seen that DIY project I've done on the rear cargo area, I've tried to go to pretty great lengths in order to increase the efficiency of the size of this thing. And I'm very happy with it. I mean, the way it's all turning out back there is pretty awesome. And once I took out that plastic piece in the spare tire carrier area, and I was able to build my box for my stove and a little table, I love it. I love the rear area, but it would be awesome if it was bigger. So obviously this channel is all about overlanding, off-roading, and camping, DIYs for off-road rigs, stuff like that. But do you golf? Because the back of this thing in the cargo area, it's not big enough to fit a golf bag in. So anytime I've gone golfing, I've laid down the back seat to throw my clubs in, or I put them in the back seat. So if there's 2 of you going, 3 of you going, a little bit bigger wouldn't have hurt, Either way, number 5 is going to be size. All right. So we're past number 5. We're moving on to number 4, okay? So number 4 is going to be fuel. Everything fuel. I mean, come on. It's one of the most difficult parts about making this an overlanding rig. It's got a small fuel tank. Not just a small fuel tank. After you start modding it up, you start throwing on roof racks, bigger tires, all that, your fuel mileage kind of goes down a little bit. I think whenever I'm all loaded up, I get about 19 miles a gallon. And for that size of tank, just ain't cutting it. I mean, even before I started modding this up, whenever I'd just be running it, I mean, I'd get 20, you know, upwards of 27, 26. We'll round down because that's probably more accurate. So 26, I get about 26 miles a gallon, which isn't bad, not at all, if the fuel tank was larger. But I think the most miles I've ever gotten on a tank of gas is like 330. I mean, when you're going on a long drive, a long trip, like, you know, when we were loaded up, we went out to Moab. This was before I put on the lift and larger tires. I did have the roof rack, had everything loaded up there. It was weighted down pretty good. It was like 270 miles on a tank. I mean, that just doesn't cut it. That's a lot of fill-ups on your way out there. I mean, for me, it's about I don't remember, like a 19-hour drive, 17, 18, 19-hour drive, something like that. A lot of fill-ups, or at least it feels like it. So when you're talking about overlanding, you kind of want to be able to get out there a long ways away from fuel and not have to worry. There's more to it than just the fuel economy and the size of the fuel tank. There's opening the fuel door. So let me show you. When you're filling up, if you don't own a Cherokee, just let me show you. All right, so first off, fuel tank, put your fuel in over here, right? Look, doesn't open. You can't open it manually, right? There's a button. Where's the button? Where's the button? Let's see. So, no, let's see. No buttons up here. Yeah, no buttons. No buttons, no buttons. Oh, you know what? I bet they're on the keys. Let me get the keys. Let's see. Huh. No button. Weird. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten out at a gas station, walked around to fill up, you're like, crap, I didn't open it. Come back over here. Where is this button at? Let me show you where this button's at. The button is down here. Hidden from view. That's how you open your tank. That's how you open your fill. Voila, it's open. You know what really stinks about this? Whenever there's ice. I had to start carrying a de-icer with me in the wintertime because if I needed fuel, that would freeze up and it wouldn't open whenever you'd hit the button. You'd sit there and bang on it. Couldn't get it. De-icer was the only way to get it. Some may say that's a minor nitpicky thing. Sure. The fuel tank is kind of a nitpicky thing. At least if it was on your side, on the driver's side, you would see that it hadn't opened. So personally, you end up finding it pretty annoying. So that's part of why. Number 4 is everything fuel. All right, so on our top 5 list here, we're gonna move on to number 3. All right, number 3 is kind of an odd one, but woo, stick move. But I feel like it's one that belongs on this list for me personally. So number three is gonna be mods. Mods and price of mods on the Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk. All right, so let's talk about these mods for a minute. What am I talking about? Let me try to do a quick rundown of this. What I'm really referring to. The biggest thing about the mods and the price of mods, and the reason that I do think it belongs on this list is it's the design that causes this issue, right? So, obviously with the way that this thing is designed, it doesn't lend itself easily to mods. So, for instance, the bumper. If you want to put a winch on this thing, there's just not an easy way to do that. So yeah, there's a few companies out there that have designed a way to install a winch in the front of this. but you're kind of limited on what winches will fit in those designs because it's just a tight space in there. It has a tendency to be the more expensive winches, right? So you're spending more money putting a winch on this than you would on, say, the old Cherokees, right? What else we got when we're talking about mods and price of mods? So as you can see, I don't have rock sliders yet, right? Well, there's a reason I don't have rock sliders yet because they're kind of pricey on this. Right? They're not terrible, but if you look up on Rocky Road Outfitters, when you're looking at rock rails, you know, you look at the old Cherokee, you're looking at, I don't know, $300. When you look at this, the KL, you're looking at like $700, right? So everything's like that. Everything's more expensive, and it starts to eat into your budget. You know, it just takes more to mod this out, this Jeep Cherokee KL, than it does an old Cherokee, a Wrangler, a 4Runner, anything like that. Now, don't get me wrong, I get it. I get it. Modding out an overlanding rig, an off-roading rig, you scared me right there. Modding out an overlanding rig, off-roading rig, it gets expensive. I get that. I'm not complaining, but I am complaining, I guess. And it's not that I want to get crazy with my modding of this. It's just, it'd be nice to be able to do a little bit more. But because of kind of how the design is, which I love the design, don't get me wrong, but because of it, it doesn't lend itself quite as easily to modding out. So that's why. Number 3 on the 5 things I hate about the Cherokee is the mods and the price of mods. So that's going to bring us to number 2. So what's number 2? Number 2 is going to be the lights. It's a toss-up, man, between number 2 and number 1 for me personally. Now, the lights on this thing, let me tell you, they are not great. Once again, it's another area where I have gone to pretty great lengths to try to increase the lights. I shouldn't say great lengths. I mean, let's be real. Anybody that does the overlanding, off-roading type stuff likes their lights, right? Their auxiliary lights. Even if the lights were perfect, I probably still would have put on all these lights, right? Because it's kind of fun. Plus, when you get into situations like I tend to do a lot of times, and that's where, you know, I'm out there running trails, wintertime, especially the wintertime, and all of a sudden it's 5:15, and I'm thinking, shoot, I'm a long ways from getting off this trail. It gets dark at 5:30. You kind of need these extra lights, right? Regardless of how bad your headlights are. You need them to be able to see what kind of terrain you're going on. Headlights being right here, look, I love the look of it. I love the fog lights down here, headlights there, running lights there. I do. I like that look. It's unique, it's different. It's just one of the things that drew me to the Cherokee to start with. But the headlights being here so low affects how good of lighting you get going down the road. And that's a problem, right? I live out in the country, okay? You're out in the country, there's a lot of deer when you're driving home. It's hard to see them. But yeah, the headlights on this thing are terrible. They're not good. There's nothing good about the headlights on the 2015. Nothing good at all. Well, I say that. They look good when they're off. So, yeah, number 2, quick and simple. Number 2 is lights. All right, so here we are, ready for that number 1 thing that I hate about my Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk. So let's look back on what that list was. So number 5 was the size, the size of it being small. Number 4 had to do with fuel, all things fuel when it came to this thing. Number 3 was mods and price of mods, very frustrating at times, but mods is number 3. Number 2 was the lights, not these lights, the headlights. And now we're down to number 1. And number one for the 5 things I hate about my Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk is the transmission. Yeah, so the transmission is definitely number 1. I mean, like here, I'm gonna slow down. I'm gonna turn onto an on ramp onto the freeway here, and this is where, like, I'm slowing down about 10, 15, 10, yeah. And then you hit it. That time I did pretty good, I'll admit. So the worst of it's like whenever you first start from a complete stop, right? And you get up to about, I don't know, 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour, and it's that shift from, I don't know, second to third, I think is what it is. And it gives you a weird little, I don't know, a hard shift, I guess is what, the only way I can describe it. Or whenever you slow down, usually it's probably more like 5 or below, more like you're rolling, you know? You haven't quite come to a complete stop, and then you go, then you really get kind of this, it's like the transmission's trying to figure out what gear to put it in. Like, am I supposed to be in first? Am I supposed to be in second? I don't know. And then it'll shift and go. But that's really the worst parts of the transmission. Like, once you get moving, once you get past that 20 to 30 shift, I don't know, it's as smooth as can be. That part's just weird, and that's why, you know, it's got to be the #1 in here. So yeah, I don't know if those 5 things match up with your 5 things, or you know, if you've got more than 5 things you don't like about the Cherokee Trailhawk. But you know, if there is something that I missed, or you feel like, hey, you overlooked this is really a terrible thing, put that in the comment section below. All right, if you agree with it, put that in the comment section below. And if you have any thoughts or questions about the Jeep Cherokee, put them in that comments once again. Hey, I always look forward to answering any questions, anything that people, you know, want to discuss about the Trailhawk. I love this thing, all in all. So these are 5 things that, yeah, they could be better, but they're not a deal breaker by any means. I love my Trailhawk. No desire to get rid of the Trailhawk. I'll be running this thing until it dies, I'll tell you that. So with that, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, thumbs up button. If you didn't, thumbs down. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. All right, see you in the next one.